2025 has already proven to be a monumental year for crypto. We're seeing some of the biggest moves and regulatory shifts that could redefine how money moves globally. One major development was the regulatory green light for banks to participate in cryptocurrency activities. The OCC, Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, issued clarifications not once, but twice, on March 7th and May 7th, allowing banks to engage in crypto asset custody and execution services. Shortly after, the FDIC and even the Fed followed suit. Suddenly, the largest banks in the U.S. had permission to enter crypto without fear of regulatory pushback. On the surface, this seemed like a huge win for the crypto ecosystem. It suggested that the era of banks actively targeting and undermining crypto companies might be ending. But if you think everything is smooth sailing now, think again. In the early days of cryptocurrency, the industry faced immense skepticism. Banks, regulators, and governments treated it as a fringe experiment, something risky, unstable, or even illegal. But as the technology matured and adoption grew, the threat it posed to the traditional financial system became undeniable. And when something threatens the foundations of banking, expect pushback, sometimes organized, sometimes subtle, but always powerful. One of the most notable examples of this pushback was Operation Chokepoint 2.0. The first Operation Chokepoint, back in 2013, targeted certain industries deemed high risk by regulators, like payday lenders, firearms manufacturers, and online gambling. But the second iteration, Chokepoint 2.0, evolved. It wasn't just about controlling risk anymore. It became a tool to pressure emerging technologies and industries that could disrupt the traditional financial order. And the crypto industry found itself in the crosshairs. Banks and regulatory bodies began scrutinizing crypto companies intensely. Payment processors hesitated to onboard crypto businesses. Exchanges and blockchain startups reported frozen accounts or sudden denials of service. The message was clear. If you're trying to innovate in financial technology, expect resistance from institutions invested in maintaining the status quo. Among all the companies under this pressure, one stood out: Ripple. Unlike many smaller startups, Ripple wasn't just a wallet app or a minor cryptocurrency project. It was building infrastructure capable of rewriting the way money moves across borders. Ripple, XRP, and the XRP ledger posed a direct challenge to the dominance of banks in global payments. Since 2020, Ripple has faced a relentless series of attacks. The SEC lawsuit, claims of unregistered securities, and ongoing scrutiny by financial authorities have created a constant cloud of uncertainty. For over 4 years, Ripple has had to defend not just its business model, but the very principle that blockchain can coexist, and even improve the traditional banking system. And yet, Ripple has persisted, even as the broader regulatory environment has begun to improve in 2025. With agencies like the OCC and FDIC clarifying banks can engage in crypto activities, Ripple continues to face resistance from legacy financial institutions. This ongoing battle is not just about legal technicalities, it's about power, control, and who gets to decide the future of money. Understanding this context is critical. Ripple isn't just another cryptocurrency. It's the company that has been targeted because it is capable of transforming the global financial system. The obstacles it faces are not coincidental. They are a clear sign of how disruptive this technology truly is. And for anyone paying attention, the lesson is simple. When the system pushes back this hard, it usually means you're doing something right. So what really sets Ripple apart from the rest of the cryptocurrency world? The truth is, Ripple isn't just a digital coin you can trade on an exchange. It's a full-fledged financial ecosystem designed to tackle some of the most persistent problems in global banking. At the heart of this ecosystem is XRP, which functions as a bridge currency. This means XRP is not just an asset for speculation. It's a utility designed to move value instantly and efficiently across borders. Let's put this into perspective. Imagine a large multinational corporation trying to send $10 million from London to Sao Paulo. Using traditional banking networks like SWIFT, this transaction would likely involve multiple intermediary banks, each taking a cut, and could take anywhere from 2 to 5 business days to settle. Fees could run into tens of thousands of dollars, and there's always the risk of delays, compliance reviews, or regulatory holdups. Now, with Ripple, the story is completely different. The same transaction could be executed in under 5 seconds, with fees amounting to just a few dollars. That's not a typo, seconds, not days, and dollars, not thousands. This is a seismic shift, especially when you scale it up across hundreds or thousands of cross-border transactions daily. But the impact goes far beyond speed and cost. Ripple's infrastructure is designed to be a universal settlement layer, sometimes referred to as the Internet of Value. Just like the Internet allows information to flow instantly across the globe, Ripple aims to enable money to flow seamlessly, whether it's fiat currencies, stablecoins, or digital assets. Banks, fintechs, and payment providers can plug into this network to settle transactions almost in real time. And here's where things get even more interesting. Unlike other cryptocurrencies that are purely decentralized or speculative, Ripple is actively partnering with institutions. Banks aren't just experimenting with XRP as a novelty. They're integrating Ripple's technology because it solves real, tangible problems. For example, liquidity on demand. Banks no longer need to pre-fund accounts in multiple countries. XRP acts as a bridge asset, freeing up billions of dollars that would otherwise sit idle. 24/7 global payments. Unlike traditional banking, which is constrained by working hours and weekends, Ripple allows money to move anytime, anywhere. Regulatory compliance built in. Ripple's network is designed with banks in mind, supporting anti-money laundering, AML, and Know Your Customer, KYC requirements without slowing down transactions. Consider the example of MoneyGram, which adopted Ripple's on-demand liquidity. Instead of pre-funding accounts in foreign countries, MoneyGram could settle transactions instantly through XRP. This not only saved operational costs but also unlocked liquidity that could be used elsewhere, a game-changer for global remittances. So, Ripple isn't just faster or cheaper, it reimagines the infrastructure of global finance. It's not about replacing the dollar or competing with Bitcoin for store of value status. It's about creating a system where banks, businesses, and even governments can move money with the same efficiency and speed that we take for granted when sending an email. And here's the kicker. The more banks adopt this system, the more entrenched Ripple becomes. It's not speculation that's driving adoption. It's real-world utility, solving a problem that has plagued international finance for decades. In other words, Ripple is building the future of money, brick by brick, transaction by transaction. If you step back and look at the big picture, it's easy to see why Ripple has drawn attention and scrutiny from the very institutions it's trying to improve. Disrupting a system that has existed for centuries isn't easy, and it's certainly not without resistance. But for those who understand the mechanics, Ripple's approach is both elegant and revolutionary, a true blueprint for the next generation of financial infrastructure. Ripple's journey isn't just about creating a digital asset or riding the crypto wave. It's about building the infrastructure for the future of global finance. Over the past several years, Ripple has made strategic moves to position itself as the backbone for institutional payments, creating systems that are faster, cheaper, and more reliable than the traditional financial network. Take Hidden Road, for example. This company connects over 300 major financial institutions, handling high-volume, high-value transactions. Ripple's acquisition of Hidden Road isn't just about expanding reach. It's about scaling XRP as a bridge currency for trillions of dollars annually. By combining Hidden Road's robust institutional connections with the speed and efficiency of the XRP ledger, Ripple is enabling real-time settlement on a global scale. To put that into perspective, a transaction that might take days or even a week, using traditional banking rails, can now settle in under 5 seconds with fees so low they're almost negligible. Next, consider Rail Finance, which processes over 10% of global B2B stablecoin volume. Rail is more than just a payment processor. It's a complete enterprise-grade infrastructure. It offers virtual accounts, automated back-office operations, and 24/7 settlement capabilities. This means a multinational business can now move funds across borders instantly, cut operational costs dramatically, sometimes by up to 80%, and operate outside the limitations of traditional banking hours. For businesses that rely on cash flow, this is nothing short of revolutionary. But Ripple's strategy goes beyond acquisitions. They are redefining what financial institutions expect from a payments network. RippleNet, the company's enterprise blockchain network, connects banks, fintechs, and payment providers in a seamless ecosystem. Through RippleNet, institutions can manage liquidity more efficiently, reduce reliance on nostro vostro accounts, and settle cross-border payments with unprecedented transparency. Each transaction is trackable, verifiable, and virtually instantaneous, a stark contrast to Swift's multi-day, opaque processes. Now, why are banks feeling threatened? Consider this. The traditional system is highly fragmented and inefficient. Money passes through multiple intermediaries, each adding delays and fees. Ripple cuts through these layers, offering a direct, programmable, and neutral settlement layer. This threatens the core of how legacy banks have operated for decades, profiting from friction, delays, and the opacity of cross-border transactions. Moreover, Ripple is not just targeting small-scale payments. Its solutions are enterprise-ready, meaning it's capable of handling billions in liquidity for major banks and multinational corporations. Their integration into institutional finance signals a shift in power, from traditional intermediaries to blockchain-enabled efficiency. Banks that cling to outdated systems are at risk of losing a critical competitive edge. Finally, Ripple's vision of the Internet of Value is key. This isn't just about XRP or stablecoins. It's about creating a global financial network where assets, fiat currencies, digital tokens, or even commodities can move freely, instantly, and securely. Ripple is effectively bridging the gap between legacy finance and the future of money, making traditional systems look cumbersome in comparison. To summarize, Ripple is more than a cryptocurrency. It's a strategic disruptor, building the infrastructure for the next generation of finance. Its acquisitions, partnerships, and enterprise integrations are designed to solve real-world problems at scale. And that's exactly why banks are watching closely, and why some are trying to slow it down. Ripple isn't just competing. It's forcing the financial world to evolve. Even as Ripple builds the infrastructure to revolutionize global finance, it has faced intense scrutiny and active resistance from the very institutions it seeks to complement or disrupt. This isn't speculation, it's a pattern that goes back years, and it's deeply tied to how entrenched banks wield influence. In 2025, the regulatory landscape initially appeared promising. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, OCC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, and even the Federal Reserve gave green lights to banks to engage with crypto, signaling that institutional adoption was now officially endorsed. You might think that this would be the moment Ripple could breathe and expand freely. But the reality has been more complex. Despite the apparent regulatory progress, 42 major U.S. banks filed objections against Ripple's application for a national trust bank charter. This included giants like J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citibank, and Goldman Sachs. These objections aren't just bureaucratic delays. They are a clear signal of panic from banks that see Ripple as a direct threat to their core business. Why? Because Ripple isn't playing in some peripheral corner of finance. By enabling instant settlement, reduced fees, and 24/7 liquidity, Ripple directly undermines the profit model of traditional banks. Banks earn billions annually from cross-border transfers, foreign exchange spreads, and delayed settlements. Ripple's technology eliminates these inefficiencies, and for banks accustomed to operating on friction, that's a threat. This pushback goes beyond banks. Regulatory arguments have often framed Ripple's innovations as outside the scope of Congress's powers for a trust bank charter, citing issues with stablecoin management and blockchain-based payments. But if you look closely, these objections aren't about legality. They're about protecting entrenched financial interests from disruption. Ripple is essentially saying, we can do this faster, cheaper, and more efficiently. And the bank's response is, not if it threatens our model. Let's also consider the broader historical context. The U.S. has seen repeated patterns of debanking, where institutions refuse services to entities they view as risky or disruptive. From gun manufacturers to certain political groups, and now to cryptocurrency companies, the mechanism is the same: control access to the financial system to maintain power. Ripple, by contrast, offers transparency, speed, and inclusivity, and that shakes the foundations of traditional banking. Yet, the very resistance from these banks is a powerful indicator. When the largest financial institutions are mobilizing against a company, it often means that the company is over the target, that it's building something that could fundamentally reshape the landscape. Ripple isn't just another crypto project. It's a strategic disruptor that banks know could redefine how money moves globally. Finally, consider the implications for investors and institutions looking ahead. Ripple's ongoing legal and regulatory challenges may appear as obstacles, but in reality, they highlight the technology's disruptive potential. Every delay, every objection, and every challenge confirms Ripple's strategic significance. It's not just surviving regulatory pressure. It's forcing the entire financial ecosystem to confront the future of payments. In short, the story of Ripple in 2025 is one of innovation under fire. While banks attempt to slow it down through regulatory influence and charter objections, Ripple continues to expand its ecosystem, onboard institutions, and prove that the future of global finance is digital, instant, and borderless. The very resistance it faces is proof that it's doing something that matters, profoundly so. Ripple isn't just another cryptocurrency story. It's a real-world, institutional-grade solution that's challenging the way money moves globally. Banks may resist, regulators may slow it down, but the direction is clear. The future of payments is faster, cheaper, and borderless, and Ripple is leading the charge. If you're following crypto just for the hype, now is the moment to look deeper at the technologies that actually reshape the financial system. XRP and Ripple aren't about speculation, they're about transformation. If you found this breakdown insightful, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on crypto innovations that actually matter. Share this video with anyone who's serious about understanding the future of finance, and join the conversation in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. How do you see Ripple changing the global payments landscape? Stay informed, stay ahead, and remember, when the banks are scared, you know you're watching real disruption in action.